Well, hello and welcome back to my channel. So today we are working on a denim jumpsuit, and I actually finished this denim jumpsuit in October. However, I have not gotten this video out because it took so long to make, and it was like over an hour of footage. But anyway, I want to walk you through the Mood Heath Jumpsuit Pattern. I made a couple of modifications to the pattern. However, I think it turned out really cute. I'm really pleased with it. There were a couple of things I wish I had done differently, but overall, the aesthetic of this jumpsuit is so cute. I think it pairs perfectly with ankle boots, and I actually bought a pair of sparkly ankle boots to go with it. It looks adorable. The length of the pant and the jumpsuit is a little on the small side to be wearing it with heeled ankle boots, but I still think it turned out great. So without further ado, let's get into it. So I just spent about 40 minutes serging all the raw edges on this denim. It was a lot. The reason why I wanted to serge putting it together is because this denim is very thick, and I don't think that my serger can handle the bulk of this. Frankly, I'm not even sure if my sewing machine can handle the bulk of this fabric. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I am using a larger needle, so I'm using an 100 instead of a 90, which is what I was using before, so a denim needle. And hopefully this all works, but I'm going to start assembling this together and then we'll put it through the machine. Now, one of my favorite things to do when I am sewing a garment is to do batch sewing. So I'll put all of the seams together that I can possibly put together, and then I'll just go sew that. So for instance, I know that I need to sew the back darts, the bodice front and sides can get put together, and the bodice back can get put together. I can sew the gathering stitches for the sleeve as well as the sleeve side. So I'm going to put all those pieces together and see how much I can get done. Today is day 4, and I'm so excited because we're finally going to get sewing this denim. Now, the first day what I did was I made a muslin, so a mock-up of my garment, and that went pretty well. That was all off camera. Then I cut out my fabric on the second day. So yesterday you saw me mark everything and then serge all the hems because I do not want to serge all my hems while I'm making this. It's going to be so much easier and so much faster if I just have everything already ready to go. So that's what I think I'm going to do. And I pinned everything in place so that we can now go through and just sew as much as possible before the evening is over. So it's 7 o'clock right now. So I think we have about 2 hours before I get exhausted and have to take a nap, otherwise known as bedtime. But I also got the ironing board out, so if you don't press your seams, they're gonna look sloppy. Always press your seams, which is why I have the iron out and the ironing board out. And I'm really excited to get started, so let's get going. We're gonna use a denim needle. I've chosen 100 for this project, so it should be big enough that when I use this thread, which is a top stitching a jeans top stitching thread, it should be able to fit through the eye of the needle and not jam up by your machine. Plus, by using 100 needle, we're gonna prevent some of the wear and tear that I usually get on my machine needles when I sew denim. So hopefully praying that we don't break a needle. I hate when I break a needle. Foreshadowing, perhaps, we'll see. I want to show you the brilliant way that I do darts. Actually, it's the brilliant way my mother does darts, and she's the one that taught me. But what we're going to do is we're going to stitch with a 2.5 stitch length, so what normally is on my machine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly come down to the end and taper off my stitch to maybe like a 0.1, or sorry, not a 0.1, a 1 or a 0.75. I'm going to sew off where the dart is and leave a thread tail and just like do a stitch as it goes by. And that should make the perfect dart, and then I won't have to tie the ends. So I'll show you what I mean. So as you can see, I'm on the stitching line. So we're just gonna keep going with our stitching. And it goes all the way to down here. This is where the dart ends. So I'm gonna keep going on my stitch line. Now we're almost getting to the end. So what I'm gonna do is bring this down to a 1.25 actually, and we're gonna stitch. I'm gonna take my pen out, and then you're just gonna stitch off. And that makes a little thread tail. We'll just cut it. And now you can see that we don't have to cut that or tie it or anything because it's already pre-tied for us. I'm gonna cut it a little closer just because I don't want this to be flapping around when I'm wearing it, but yeah, that's it. First, what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn these inside out and use this point turner to get a nice sharp corner. I think these flaps will look nice, and it doesn't call for it, but I'm gonna put a buttonhole in here and a button on the front pocket, and I'll show you that later, but I think it'll look really nice and it'll add an elevated look. Otherwise, I'm afraid that these flaps are gonna flap open like this instead of stay closed. So first, we're just gonna massage those out, kind of like so, and then we'll use our point turner to go in and really get into the corners without poking through the fabric. That's the worst part though. So there you go. And then we'll just press this. This is a tailor's clapper. What you do is after you finish pressing your seam or whatever you're pressing, you can put it over top and it'll make it super flat. So I'll show you. All I'm gonna do is use lots of steam on this. And I want this to be as flat as possible. And then we're gonna just use the clapper like this. And I leave it on there until it cools down a little. And then see, you have this perfectly flat. This is very confusing. So I'm gonna walk you through it because I did not understand it. And frankly, I still don't understand how this works. So this is the Heath Jumpsuit Pattern. I really like it, but it is very confusing. So I have these facing pieces and then I have the pocket bags. So first things first, keep your patterns organized because this is a little convoluted. But, all right, we have this and this. I think this is the wrong piece, but yes. This is for this one and this one. Okay, so we'll start with this one. So I've marked everything on here. Now all we need to do is add these facing pieces to it. It'll be, this is the wrong side of the fabric and this is the right side. So we're gonna pen this to the right. Well, basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna stitch this all down in place. And then we're gonna have these pocket bags that won't flap out and you won't be able to see the lining underneath when you wear the piece. So I'm just gonna do that. Now, it did say you could turn this edge 1/4 of an inch down. I did not. I opted to serge it instead. And then we'll just sew around this. It does say to baste one side, I believe this side right here, but I'm just gonna stitch it all down right now as we have it. And then trim this, and we'll do that for both of these pockets. And then when we're doing this pocket, again, you want the right side up, and we have this one, and they go on like this, and we'll just line it up like that and then sew it around. So here's what we're gonna do. This is the right side of the fabric, and you're gonna take this pocket bag and you are going to put it face down. So right sides together, and you'll just pin that in place. And then you'll sew here and you'll sew here at 1/2 inch. So first we'll press the seam where we sewed the pocket bag facing and pocket bag and to the side seam. Just gonna press. And I'm doing this for your benefit so that if you do happen to make this, which it's a very cute jumpsuit, but if you do happen to make this, you'll be able to follow along a little more easily than I did. Then we're gonna press the seam open It might seem counterintuitive because we're going to press it to one side after this, but it'll just give us a nicer look. And then I'm going to use my tailor's clapper again, and voila. Now we'll just press this where the seam is, press that to the inside, and then we'll use the tailor's clapper again. So this is what it looks like from the outside. And you're not going to actually stitch the side seam like this. You're actually going to do this. So it's going to go like this. And we're going to just take the pocket bag and we're going to bring the sides together, the edges, and then you'll sew around. So I actually almost forgot. I'm going to understitch the pocket facings because I don't want them to roll out. So when you fold it over, or when you fold it under, it'll look nice. And we've sewn the pockets bags. I also serged the edges. I got lazy and I didn't want to do bias binding. I really probably should because it would make this look nicer, but it's a denim jumpsuit. It's not going to matter. Now we take the sides and we just put them together and baste across here and baste across here. And then we should be able to start putting these pants together. Now I've got the pants facing on the floor. This is the front and these are the back. And we're gonna just open these up, pin into place, and then we'll sew the seams. Now we'll just sew up where the pins are. I'm going to switch to my top stitching thread in just a second because I want everything to look really nice, and I'm using this nice golden color. I'm going to use that and it's going to turn out really nice, I think, so it'll look really good with the contrast with the denim. But first I want to show you how I'm doing the pockets because it's significantly different than what Mood is doing. So what you're going to do is you have your pocket flap, and I just folded it over where the marks are, and I marked where those are in red. But you're just going to fold it over like so. Now they said to turn up this as well, this hem, but since I already serged it, I'm not super concerned about that. But anyway, we'll sew this, cut the corners, and then flip it right side out. And then we'll press down 3/8 of an inch around all the sides, and it'll look really nice. So then you get a pocket like this, and this is what it looks like from the inside. After you've turned it right side out, you just press down this 3/8 inch around here. Another thing that Mood doesn't tell you to do is to interface the lapel. So I'm gonna actually interface this because then when you make the buttonholes, it'll look a lot nicer. But also, we're gonna interface the collar as well. For this project, I'm using a lightweight tricot because the denim's pretty heavy. So I don't wanna interface too much, but we're just gonna cut around and then we'll fuse this to the collar. I have this great idea. So I'm set up my other machine here. This is from the 60s, actually. My mom just told me on the phone. I love this machine. It's not as fancy as the other one, which is why I typically use the other one, but this is like heavy duty, so it's the Bernina Sport. But what I'm gonna do is sew on my pocket flaps. But anyway, this is for non-top stitching. The other machine's gonna be just dedicated to top stitching. That way I have dedicated workspaces and then I don't have to switch out my thread all the time, which is kind of a pain. What I did was I made these buttonholes in the flap and then I sewed on a button. Now I'm not sure because when I turn the flap down, I'm not sure it's actually gonna work. So I may have to figure out a creative method to get these to look good, or I might have to rip out the flap and try again. But that's okay, and I'll just make a new flap with a new buttonhole. I'm not in love with that, but I do have extra fabric, some scrap fabric that I can use for that. Also, I'm gonna sew the interface collar together and put the two pieces together with the interfacing. We're just gonna sew this as close to the serging as possible, and then I'm gonna take my scissors and put it behind here so that we don't get any missing stitches, because part of the problem with this denim fabric is that when you need a jump humper or hump jumper, I don't remember what it's called, but basically you need something to put behind your foot so that it doesn't cause issues with the fabric and get stuck coming through. So that's what we're gonna do. And then if you have problems with your machine getting the thread all knotted up, it might be because you're not holding your thread tails down. So what I like to do, and especially on a Bernina, it doesn't always happen with other machines, but it does with Bernina. So I always hold down my thread tails. And this is how it turned out. I'm pretty happy with this. I wish I had top stitched the edge as well, but such is life. And now we're gonna put these two down, and here's what it looks like. We're just gonna stitch up this seam and the shoulder seam. We're getting closer. So what I'm gonna do is take the waistband. So this is for the inside. I've already pinned the waistband to the bodice, but we're gonna take the inside waistband. We're gonna fold this over 3/4 of an inch, or actually we'll fold it over a 1/2 inch, I think, and then press that in place. That way when we stitch this down, it will cover the raw edges. Anyway, and then we'll sew the waistbands on together and then fix it to the pants. We're getting very close. I think we have 5 steps left. Maybe I'll get this done today. All right, so we have the waistband on the bodice here, and then we have another one over here. So there are 2 pieces of fabric. So we'll be sewing through 3 pieces of fabric. But basically, I turned up the edge on this one so that on the inside, it'll flip down once we're ready to sew the pants on. All right, so we have a problem. This is not working when I try to put in the placket. So what I want to do is take up the hips. I don't know if you can see, it's really dark in here, but what I want to do is take up the waistband and maybe sew the pants length, and it'll actually fit better in the butt that way. So that's what we're going to do, because these lapels just aren't long enough for the placket in the center. So it's all pinned up and ready to go. We're getting closer. This is becoming the project from hell, but I really like it. So now we're gonna seam rip. I think we're gonna seam rip all the way up to the waist. I'm gonna take out the waist and cut off about 1 inch of the pants, and fingers crossed that this won't mess up everything, but it is what it is. This might end up on YouTube with an unfinished project, but here we are. And I'm going to then re-sew everything together. And remember, there is a facing on here, so I have to take that out as well. And I think while I have the pants off, I might adjust the darts in the back a little. I will have to then gather the waistband to make the bodice and the pants fit, because right now the pants fit the bodice, but if I take them in because they're too big in the butt, then that's gonna be a problem. All right, so what I've done is I restitched everything, and I feel like it looks a lot better now. But you can still see that I have this flap issue right here, which is where the pants meet the lapels. So what I'm gonna do, I already basted this across, and now I'm just gonna flip it to the inside, pin together, and hope for the best. I also reinforced this seam with just a rectangle like stitch so that it won't pull out, but I think it's gonna look okay. And if not, I'm gonna make a super long belt that covers up the weird placket situation. So I think that's the fix I'm gonna go for if this all goes to hell. And this is the final outfit. I love it. I think it looks really chic from the back, from the front. Now, I will say it is quite small in the legs, which is unfortunate. That's because I took up so much in the waist, and then I had to cut off some from the pants top. So that's unfortunate. However, I think this looks really cute on. I love the button details. I love the pocket flaps. I'm glad I added as much length to the pants legs as I did, because oh my gosh, what if I hadn't and I had to cut that off like I did? So that was not great. The other thing is that I made the leg flares wider. So this was supposed to be a straight leg. I added flares to this, and I think it looks really nice. I did make a belt to go with this, but my mom said it doesn't look right with it, and it's just because it's not wide enough, and it kind of slopes in the back a little. So I need to figure out a way to get that belt to work or to find a belt that works better with this. But overall, quite pleased with how it looks. I did omit the button placket that kind of hides the buttons because I just wanted to feature the buttons. I think they look so nice. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. I love it personally. If you don't like it, don't come for me in the comments. Thanks. And one more thing, if you like this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribe. It greatly helps my channel. I'll see you in the next one.